current state of top lane. Both of them have rather aggressive champion pools, and Seraph is actually able to get some, utility champions in there too. But they are very similar in that they like to split push, but their team play is what separates them. Ray, he gets more resources from his team. He has received all 4 Rift Heralds in Apex's 4 victories to give him a split push advantage. But then Seraph, instead, he actually leads top laners in kill participation because he's all about that shot calling in the mid game. He favors team fighting, and he favors making that TP play with Lissandra or Maokai that wins them the game.
Exactly. So the breadth of what Seraph is able to do, and also I kind of want to think about like the actual metagame is, what if the best top laners are just the Irelias and the Jaxes? Like, everyone has to go just to that style and only play the flip push style as the best way to play League of Legends. That's an option as teams adapt. We have to see what that's going to be. But real quick, though, as you've heard what we've had to say about the matchup, we want to hear what Apex's Ray says about sizing up Team Envy.
MB는 저희랑 똑같이 한국인이 3명이고 일단 커뮤니케이션이 되게 잘 될 것 같고요. 일단 2승을 한 상황이라서 네, 좀 지금 상황에서는 되게 센 상대라고 생각을 하고 있어요. 그래서 많이 준비를 해야 될 것 같아요.
Yeah, and it definitely depends, I think, really how these teams do match up against each other. Had the analysts talk about the fact that Seraph, the shot caller, they know that Apex tends to play through Ray a whole lot. Both these teams, I think, are well suited to be ready to like attack the other team's style.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of funny because there's so many similarities. They're both 2-0, right? They both actually have 3 Koreans, and they have one that's bilingual and translates, and then their bottom lane are the English speakers. So they have the bottom lane that's like, these guys are going to go head-to-head, fight for the English language superiority, and the rest of the map. So a lot of similarities between this team, especially in communication.
Yeah, and the two of the new teams, the LCS as well. So we'll see how that lines up. Let's check out the lineups for this one. Up first, Apex. Ray in the top lane. Big deal for them. Shrimp in the jungle. Keane, the translator, I suppose, the mid lane. Apollo, AD carry. Xpecial, 2-time player of the game of support, with Coach St. Vicious there behind them, leading the picks and bans.
And across the rift from them, Team Envy. In the top lane, Seraph. In the jungle, Procxin. In mid, Ninja. AD carry, Lod. And support, Hakuho, with Coach Miracle. And if you want to talk about player of the game, I actually think Seraph is number 1 right now with 3.
Yeah, I think so. The EU LCS leaderboards went out, and I think Trick was leading with 4 out of the 8 games that EU teams have played at this point. So we'll see if he can like break the MVP per game or player of the game per game stat. That's a really long acronym, by the way.
The average
POGPG, I believe.
Okay.
But eventually you'll have that and be like, yeah, Seraph's like a 0.7.
Per game or per victory? They would be different.
Sure, but why not both? We can break them both up, right? You could be the team that's won exactly 1 game. You'd be like, congratulations, GBM, 100%. Right? Like, that could be you. Or you can just simply win all of your matches and be amazing, and that's what the teams are going for here. These teams 2-0 in matches. The new upstarts to the North American LCS, and so far have been having pleasantly great performances. As picks and bans start up, Apex on the blue, Envy on the red, and as this best of 3 continues, they will switch back and forth. And you can see, I think these bans make a lot of sense. By the way, you're seeing Apex ban team fighting teleport flank top laner so that Ray can keep Seraph in his own lane.
Get that Rift Herald buff donated to him from his team. Seraph is the shot caller of Team Envy, of course, one of the more vocal members, of course. Shot calling is always one of those things where it's like actually a group effort when you have a lot of vocal.
You can't have 0 people talking except you.
Yeah.
That would never go well.
Give me the information. But yes, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Lissandra ban as well come through, possibly a Vladimir.
Well, yeah, you've always got to bargain away the picks. I don't think Keane would be averse to playing it, but you're right, there's Lissandra ban, so exactly, the team fight teleporting top laners to say, Seraph, you're stuck here with me. Keep him in the gravity well.
Maybe pick a Fizz eventually. So yeah, we're going to start seeing these top lane focused bans here. Kindred still up. You'd have to think that would be the last ban from Team Envy if it's not banned by Apex.
It's a good chance. Otherwise, they have to start thinking about where the Trundle goes, where the Fizz goes. And actually, I take that back because there's so many good split pushing top laners now. I don't think you can really ban out that style very easily. As long as Ray's champion pool's wide enough, I don't think you can really remove enough from it.
And we haven't seen anything like Jax, but you could still make it work if you banned enough.
Sure. Origin finally won a game thanks to playing it, so definitely a big deal. Zyra off the table. Hakuho not allowed to play this one. Xpecial not going to be playing it either, of course. Ryze also banned away. Keane won't get this one. This is, by the way, again, post-nerf Ryze. Still not seeing him on the table. And Shrimp, known well for his Rek'Sai.
But Kindred's still on the table. I would think you go Kindred. Kindred did receive nerfs where you need 9 stacks to get back up to where your rank 9 or rank 5 Q was. So I definitely think that Kindred had a competitive nerf, because now you need to mark champions and kill them and snowball to actually get back up there very quickly.
Well, it's interesting looking at the jungle picks, though, because at this point, I think Rek'Sai actually has a higher pick ban rate than Kindred does itself. Right? Rek'Sai was already like 95% North American LCS, and not really going anywhere anytime soon. So there we go, picked up once again. 21st game now for Rek'Sai, 3 ban his way as well, and that is going to go to Shrimp. And I want to know actually which style they go for here, because back in Challenger, Shrimp took all the farm and was the major split pusher, and the rest of his team played around him. I think APX now have Ray for that.
I still think he's going to do that, though, because Shrimp is all about controlling the map by farming the enemy jungle and actually making the enemy move to the quadrant that still has farm and kind of hurting them in a way. Or they get nothing, and then he just gets a gigantic level advantage. So watching Shrimp on Rek'Sai is actually a very big treat. And you're talking about Challenger. Shrimp and Procxin played each other, Apex versus TIP. Procxin was the guy that beat Eve 2 games in a row, crushed him, that Apex had to sub Shrimp in, and then they went 1-1 in that, ultimately Apex losing. So right now, Procxin and Shrimp are 1-1 against each other, and they've actually had both sides of the matchup. They've had one where Shrimp did really well, and they had one where Procxin did really well. And these guys are both aggressive, and they both like to make plays.
And you could argue both these players got much better teammates now to surround them here, so
we don't know what they're capable of yet.
It could be a whole lot of fun. So Karma and Swain grabbed up here. Swain did get some nerfs, but is still clearly worthy of picking. Envy gonna grab that one. And honestly, we can see that go to Seraph or to Ninja. The Karma could go to Ninja or to Hakuho. But a high priority on Karma. North America, the land of ranged supports, absolutely. That still might be Xpecial playing another tank, though.
But Braum has actually jumped way high up in the pick ban recently. Really high up there. I want to say he's a like 80, 100% presence somewhere in there, because he's just so strong and potent in these punish lanes. And when people are playing these squishy range supports, you're just like, oh, I tagged the Zyra.
I flash Q, now you're dead.
Now he's dead.
Yep.
Exactly. And Xpecial, I believe the 2 games that he did end up getting player of the game on, yes, he played Braum both games.
Yep. So it's going to be him yet again playing one of his, I guess, best champions now. Xpecial really hadn't been in pro play, if I have my timing right, like at the time that Braum came out, and so kind of had to learn the champion down in the Challenger Series and come back up and start crushing heads with it. I don't remember Xpecial playing a lot of Braum back when he was on Liquid & Co. And back on TSM, that champion didn't exist for sure. Either way, they're going to get Braum for himself alongside of Caitlyn. Nice long-range AD carry. We are seeing Lucian off the table for most teams now after the 6.11 nerfs. Irelia, I think I would not be surprised to see that champion come through, but it does mean that Ray gets to counter pick. And at this point, why would you set Seraph up for that kind of situation?
So the question is, do you think that Irelia doesn't have a good counter right now that could be answered? You know, Hecarim's still on the table. We haven't seen that come out.
Yeah.
The Fizz also still on the table.
I mean, that's really the thought, right? Because they could easily take a jungler whenever. They would rather take Irelia blind than risk that champion going over to Ray, because there's nothing else important left to draft. So that's the thought. It has to be, or it's a misdraft.
And this is where Apex show if they have something to deal with it. Otherwise, and I mean, it's best of 3, right? So if you show that you have something to deal with it here, it actually affects the rest of the series too, because then Envy can ban it out on the next next rotation, and then actually pick Irelia first, and so on and whatnot.
Yeah, so definitely options there. We do notice though that Apex, to kind of keep that trend, did pick Braum with Karma already showing, so they weren't willing to early pick their top laner, even if they considered Irelia to be a top tier champion. So I do want to see what Ray picks into this matchup. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. We don't know either solo lane right now, but we know both solo lanes of Envy, so both will get counterpicked. And is it going to be Shen Viktor?
Okay.
Shen's locked in.
All right.
Shen is the counter to Irelia. Viktor for Keane, not a big surprise. That one's not too special, but Ray playing Shen, it's a bunch of globals, and it's Shrimp being the frontline damage dealer playing a Rek'Sai.
It's going to be the frontline damage. I mean, he could go Titanic Hydra second item. We see that a lot now with Black Cleaver. His build was always the Cinderhulk Black Cleaver even before it was cool.
Right.
It's just like, that takes so much gold. That doesn't seem great in competitive. Where's your locket? But he made it work every single time. And actually, Envy, it's kind of interesting because these solo laners, although Irelia has been dominant in the top lane, we have seen Irelia mid in the past. And I believe that's something we may see in the future. I don't know if that's going to come out here.
I don't think so here, but you're right. There's always a chance you flex that one around.
Faker did it, so it's a thing.
There you go. Master Yi's coming up.
Did it like a year ago.
Wonderful. Doesn't matter. It's still a thing. All right, there we go. Mid lane locked in for Swain, and the Elise jungle coming through finally.
Yeah.
Now for Procxin. He wants to pick that one in for himself. And look, it's some crowd control coming into the lane. They don't have a lot of reliable CC otherwise, so Just trying to add a little bit more to that mix.
Yeah, and if you get that CC off, you'll combo with pretty much all of your team, regardless of what lane you gank. Everybody has some type of
delayed route, right?
Exactly.
Every lane.
So it's going to assist with that. It's going to allow the pick potential to come through from the Envy squad. And then Apex on the other side, really team fighty here. They do have the split push if Shen can get ahead. And Shen with a Rift Herald is actually quite strong. It's a lot of damage, and he's able to stay really close to you, takes the reduced damage, and then he's also able to just get more of those procs off, that he actually becomes a damage dealing source.
Yeah, he'll definitely get some procs in against the jungler, I imagine, as well.
That laugh. That laugh, though.
It's my crappy laugh. So there we go. Coach is shaking hands. And as we're going to get ourselves ready for the first game in this series, let us know online who's going to be taking this one. Hashtag APX win, hashtag NV win to @LOL Esports. Let us know who it's going to be. A best of 3 between 2 of the undefeated teams here in the North American LCS. There's a few more teams with that honor. We saw Immortals make it to 3-0. TSM also 2 match wins for themselves, but only one of these teams will be able to join Immortals at 3-0 to start out their beginning of the North American LCS split. But we are here to see who that's going to be. And I think it's going to be a great best of 3. Seraph bringing in the Irelia, and Ray actually going for Shen. Definitely a difference in style for him, but he thinks it's the right choice here.
Yep, allowing him to help the team out. And this is kind of a swap in styles from what we'd seen. Ray, incredibly dominant on Fizz, right? Dunked Darshan and got player of the game twice because of it, because he got so much help. And now he's on a split pusher that will be joining the team every time that he can. And then Seraph, on the other hand, he can still TP flank, but it's not the same type of impact. It's really a damage source,
right.
A threat.
So it's going to be just a difference in styles here, and we'll have to see how they can play this one out. 36 seconds into the game. Quick pause. We'll have to see what that one's for. I'm seeing the ref over Xpecial's shoulder right now, so don't know what that is, but we'll hear about that pretty shortly. And I just kind of want to talk about how these teams are going to approach the game here. We talked so much about what the top lane is going to do, what they're going to draft, how they're going to play. Looking at all 5 here, Envy's overall lineup, I don't really think Irelia or Elise are the best team fighters. Like, Irelia's not bad, she can hard carry, but as far as your sort of 5-on-5 goes, it's kind of being carried by Swain and Sivir, and then you get Karma for the shields. On Apex's side, I feel like their entire 5-on-5 is amazing, though, right? Braum and Caitlyn, just great. They're going to stay alive forever. Viktor doing the same thing, and Shen's just there to always have the impact. He'll never be outside of his team, so and even Shrimp has the global. So I feel like Apex can be very good at 5-on-5ing, and even though their engage isn't great, they just tend to play around objectives like Dragon and Baron as a team anyway. They don't really need that.
That's true. And just to update everybody, Xpecial was having a screen lock bug, so of course he's just going to relog in, and then hopefully that fixes it. But yes, going back to the compositions here, the pick potential that Envy have with their lineup of the Irelia and everybody else, this is a composition that actually plays to the strengths of what they've been doing statistically, because these are the 2 teams that actually clear the most wards in terms of percentage of invisible vision. They're around 30%. So they'll clear 1/3 of the wards placed by the enemy team.
Of all trinket and sightstone wards you put down.
Exactly. Which means that they're looking for those pick potential. And they're like number 7 and 8 in wards placed. So they're really low down there. They go for the skirmishes, they go for the fights, they play for lanes, but they don't play so much for that empty zone unless they're setting up a pick.
Yeah. And I think it really makes sense. Like, Apex is a team that I've cast more of their games, so I have like a little bit better handle on them as a team, and also cast them in Challenge. I've just seen so much of them. I mean, this is a team that focuses so heavily on playing for Dragon and playing for Baron. They're always carrying pink wards, they're always making sure they have the vision around the objectives, and no surprise, if you're camping around Baron, you tend to clear a whole lot of wards, and it speaks to their playstyle. And seeing that stat, it means that Envy are doing that kind of stuff as well a bit more commonly. And then, you know, hoping that Seraph TP's in for the flank afterwards. And we are here into the game. 1 minute in. Invade. Hakuho. Ooh, Xpecial dodging it. No gold earned. Trinket ward will not be killed. So that's 1 away from the stats. Apex will not kill that trinket.
So that's the 1/3, man.
Yep.
Minions has spawned.
I mean, I guess with pretty good authority that all 5 trinkets early game
Probably.
that Envy put down will not be killed.
Probably.
That's a really good
Probably.
chance. Which, by the way, actually speaks to how good they are clearing wards, because you know, like, the first 3 minutes of trinket wards will never be killed.
Yeah.
And you still make up for it by killing a 3rd.
You basically don't have anything to clear until around level 6 for supports, when you end up getting their ultimate and also a sightstone. And then they get the kind of crappy sweeper.
Yep.
The non-good one, which you have to be very accurate with. You don't get to just hit that thing and run around.
So I've forgotten to upgrade my sweeper enough that... Do you know what like it feels like to use like a level 17 unaugmented sweeper? The range is like 2,000, and it covers like a screen. It's actually insane, like the radius you can reveal things with.
The upgraded one?
The unaugmented red trinket. Because it keeps scaling with level.
Oh, yes. It's actually quite big, but the question is, would you run around that entire distance? Anyway, lane swap coming through, a little bit late. And that's going to be Hakuho getting the poke off onto Ray.
Ray did leash Gromp for his jungler Shrimp, so at least they got a bit started there, and Ray's doing all right for himself.
Oh.
Meanwhile, Xpecial trying to fight Seraph and Procxin. Seraph never went into lane, he was just
Xpecial got it.
Nice, one taken away from
Got one.
Yeah, just the one small wolf, but that's enough to actually really mess with things. It also meant that Seraph had to last hit some of those. And nice smite away. Looks like Shrimp was able to get the blue buff as well. So both these teams able to take away basically all of their own.
He's gonna keep
jungle.
going.
Oh no, Ray's dead! I think Ray might die. The Ignite is on. One more hit will do it. Had to flash away, but that is his flash burn. Hakuho burning 2 sums, though, is actually worse for him.
Yeah, that's true, but he pushes out the top laner, who's up against an Irelia, and any advantage you can get in Irelia, items, gold, or if you get her above the opponent, then that's definitely worth it, I think. I think that the Karma blowing the summoners, if you are able to actually get this TP out, exactly.
Yeah. That's the ultimate gain, though, right? Is Ray has now lost a teleport, and he's lost his flash because of what's happened. It's a summoner disadvantage. If those come back from cooldown, there was no advantage actually gained here. APX knocked the turret down. No big surprise there. That should be killed without any real qualms. And, very similar on the other side. Envy will knock that one down. Seraph, level 2 from leeching XP. Very similar situation for Ray, who just hit 2 himself.
And see where the gold goes. I assume it'll go to both top laners. Allow them to kill the turret, be the last person standing.
Almost always.
We saw in that last game, it actually went to OQ.
Yeah.
Solo in one of them. And Quas just got out of there, but yes. Usually it goes over to the top laner, and usually you get a good bounce going.
Well, first blood worth of gold for both these top laners to make up with the fact that they weren't laning earlier on because they couldn't. Turns out 1v4 is a pretty hard lane matchup.
Yeah.
And interestingly, Ray's actually getting more of this wave cleared out, so this should be a very strong freeze. And then we'll see if he keeps doing that. Seraph currently freezing as well. Procxin taking away some of the wolves.
Yep.
Apex sending the dual lane back to the top side. And here we go. Looks like a little bit in the mid lane. Keane still running around, and looks like they never actually went for the cocoon.
Yeah, went for just the damage there. Just kept throwing auto attacks with the red buff. Got the ghost out, so a little bit worth it there.
Yeah, absolutely not a bad thing at all. So at least some pressure coming out of Procxin so far from Envy. And we'll see. The duo lanes are in fact swapped. We will have round 2 the lane swap be another turret trade. The question is, will they go for another major objective? Will they take a dragon or a Rift Herald? Will they push for the tier 2 turret? Those are the questions we're going to see answered soon.
I don't think anybody has way more pushing power than the other, so I don't think we'd see a tier 2 turret rush. I think they're both rather equal.
Yeah. I mean, theoretically, Karma does more because of Spell Thieves, and Irelia probably has a better rune page for it. This doesn't mean very much, also the Karma Shield. So, I mean, if you were playing like a speed run, Envy would technically be faster. It's probably not enough to make you really make very drastic changes in play style, but theoretically the advantage is there.
What did Dom say? Technically correct?
Yeah.
Just the best type of correct? There we go.
Is.
Best type of correct.
Yeah. But in the real world, it doesn't matter, is what it comes down to,
In the
right?
hypothetical world.
Right. So it's one of those things like, yeah, I'm right, but not really. And that's the kind of right I am usually. Which is not the best kind of way to be right. Yeah, like, technically, but not...
Actually.
Yeah, if that works out,
Yeah.
I think.
Anyway, Ocean Drake looks like it's going to be a target here. Envy ended up pinging it.
That's
They're
actually
getting
really
that bottom turret a little bit faster.
Ocean Drake is by far the best early game Drake, so the extra sustain they're going to get lets their jungler stay topped off at all times. Proc's going to be happy. The laning phase is always going to be nice as well. You'll have great mana regeneration on that Swain for Ninja, so Envy, I think, quite fortunate here that Apex didn't choose to go for the Drake on the first half of the lane swap, because honestly, being that Ocean is so good if you're getting it before 10 minutes, I would have actually called the audible to make the play for that.
Yeah, it's actually a really good move to make, because when you do it that early, Rift Herald doesn't spawn that early. Rift Herald comes up a little bit later, 5 minutes.
Yeah, not even an option to answer it. It would have been a Drake for, I mean, a slower tempo for sure, but it seems that Apex, after playing the CLG set, keep in mind, Apex and CLG played last weekend, and Apex played for Drake on the first round of the lane swap, and CLG played for farm, and Ray was constantly 2 levels behind Darshan because of that. They've changed the way they're approaching their lane swap, at least in this case. Maybe it's matchup, maybe it's something else, but did not prioritize that. As a result, Envy now have that first Ocean Drake, and look at this Ninja. taking a fight against Keane, but he'll lick his wounds much better because of the extra regen.
Oh, man. That Viktor ultimate is actually really fast. It's deceptively fast. It'll chase you down. And once they get Ryze,
Okay.
oh,
Good trade of flashes.
speeds right in, gets the flash. Keane has his ghost backup, though, so he does have an escape summoner available to him.
Yeah. He's
And it
able to
looks
withstand a lot of pressure.
Looks like they might want to gank bottom here. You see multiple members coming down. Hakuho and Procxin scouting the jungle.
Here they come. Okay, they did get revealed by a ward, though, so Apex knows what's going on down here. Apollo and Xpecial are here to withstand that. A nice little trap wall says you can't come through that way. And now we have the top laners finally battling here. Ray versus Seraph. Dodge zone comes in and doesn't take really any damage.
Oh man, it makes sense now. We were talking about the Shen countering Irelia. Irelia is primarily auto attack damage in the early game and mid game, and then eventually you get your Q to be really beefy when you're able to max it. But yeah, primarily auto attack damage, and Shen is able to make whoever's in that zone dodge it. So if he's on top of his AD carry, boom.
Right. You can just prevent the Irelia damage from really coming out. You can drop a large portion of what she does. We'll see if that happens. Ray has also built a freeze for himself and is going for a tankier build. No big surprise, but probably a Sunfire Cape first for him. Cloth armor and a Doran's shield making that nice and easy. Seraph, with a slightly more risk-averse build, went Phage instead of Sheen and doesn't think he can really crush Ray that fast.
Yeah, we'll see Sheen and Phage. Although the Stinger is now part of Trinity Force, we typically don't see it early. We see the Phage for the movement speed, being able to zip in and out of the combat. You would think, if you were a very greedy Irelia, that you'd spend, what is it, 2150, get Stinger and Sheen, and have 20% cooldown reduction already.
Oh, that'd be pretty nice. Seraph, by the way, is actually maxing W first. This is actually the exact opposite of what Who needed, who was actually maxing E then Q, and left P10 style to 1-point wonder. And it meant that Huni just would one-shot minions all the time, and they would change the cooldown. But yeah, actually maxing not the stun, but just the damage on hit, which is actually quite atypical for Aurelias. I usually see stun max most frequently.
Yeah.
Seraph going for a more sustained-focused sort of build here.
I think he needs it against the Shen, and having the true damage against what's eventually going to be armor is very important. And yeah, maxing the E, the Equilibrium Strike, you know, it did have its damage nerfed a long time ago, but increasing the duration of the disable, if you know you're going to get a lot of ganks early, you definitely want to max that. But the W is if you're going back and forth against a tank.
Yeah, if you're not fighting, I guess just have the life on hit. Why not? It's like +2 per rank, so it's something. Into this game, though, 600 gold lead still the case for Apex, and Ray with a very deep freeze right now, which means that Envy have to spend the rotation, and Laud and Hakuho will be saying, well, you froze. You mean you pushed the wave for us? Let's go ahead and knock this turret down a little bit here. Laud having plenty of mana thanks to Ocean Drake, and gonna try to push Ray down, who tanks up some of this, dodges away from the attempted route from Hakuho. And it's going to be a lot of turret pressure coming across. And it means that, look at this, Apex kind of making the slow realization that they need to keep that turret alive. Ray misses plenty of CS under the turret, and now their own dual lane coming down to that side to keep the turret alive. They will once again send Ray to the other half of the map. All said and done, though, still a 600 gold lead for Apex, thanks to playing the lane that way.
Yeah, this bounce has been so good, though. Looking way back at the bounce that started at about 7 minutes towards Ray, CSing it incredibly slowly so that it builds up and comes towards him. You can see that CS advantage he has because it eventually got to the point where it was at his tier 1 turret, and Seraph cannot walk up that far because he doesn't have ward coverage, and Elise could be anywhere and come towards him. So he can't CS safely and break the freeze. You'd have to call your jungler up to do that. So Ray just got a 16 CS advantage over him, and now Seraph is trying to equalize that on the opposite side of the map.
And normally something like that is punished by taking a neutral objective, but both Rift Herald and the first Drake were taken as a function of round 2 of the lane swap, so there wasn't anything Envy really got to punish with. They could have maybe pulled a heavier rotation and pushed top with 4, but they didn't go for that play.
Yeah, and this is the weird stuff right here. You're talking about these rotations. Ray's going back down to the bot lane that was being frozen by Seraph. It's so far up. This is incredibly dangerous to do. As a top laner after a lane swap at 11 minutes, I do not recommend doing this, but he wants to break the freeze.
Yeah, he has to. He has to push it into the turret, and he's going to do just that. Just kidding, Seraph's there. By the way, Ocean Drake doesn't turn off to minion damage, so he can basically ignore the fact that they're hitting him.
And you can see Procxin already on this side of the map.
Smites takes away that, says, yeah, Ray, you don't take this away from me. And yeah, it's just a very difficult world to be a Shen in right now. He's just... look, the minion farm has been equalized now. Seraph built the freeze himself, and he's going to be just fine. 48 to 49, basically identical. Now they are identical. Now he's ahead.
Boom.
Congratulations.
Yeah, because Seraph ended up getting the freeze towards him, and they actually swapped it back and put Apex's bot lane back up there. Ray has been starved for a bit now, sitting at about that 49 for a good while now.
Yeah.
But yes, he does have his level 6 ultimate, so it's very hard to actually engage onto members of Apex, knowing that Shen will show up.
I think you see the mid lane is constantly trading back and forth. He knows he has to burn the ulti to get Ninja off of him, otherwise he'd just get worn down too hard. But it's a good minute-and-a-half, 2-minute cooldown that he has to then play without. But Keane's, you know, done okay, though. Farm basically identical, 109 to 110. That's going to be just fine for them as the ward goes down. But look at this, Envy get to keep playing the Dragon Control game, and Apex is normally the team controlling these neutral objectives. So this is actually Apex getting pushed quite a bit out of their normal sort of comfort in a way. Procxin doing a good job with this one.
Wait a minute.
Oh, attempted smite doesn't come through in time. Shrimp actually couldn't even see it anyway. He was still burrowed, and no one was moving, so he had no chance to smite it at that time. A good solo Drake by Procxin, and good to go. It's worth noting, actually, Cloud Drake is easier to take for Elise than other Drakes because it doesn't do splash damage, so the Spiderlings live a whole lot longer.
I believe Ocean doesn't do splash damage as well.
Yeah, it's Mountain and Infernal that splash.
I think Ocean would splash.
I know. I made that joke last time.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think that was with Zyra. So you, sorry, with a
Whoa!
with a sale. You both have a Z in your name and an A. No, you don't.
That's true. Well, my first name has an A.
Yeah, and I call you Aiden more than half the time anyway. So.
Oh man. Anyway, looking back up at the top lane though, Seraph went for the daggers before he actually even got any part of the Sheen, just because he wants the attack speed to get more true damage off, use the hit 10 style more.
I think that was more like he recalled a 600 gold and was like, I could buy a Sapphire Crystal, which is useless, or I can have stats. Stats are wonderful.
Stats are much better. I mean, mana's kind of a stat.
I mean, it is, but like this is where you're technically correct, but it's not functionally correct. Functionally, that's what I'm going to use for that. It's a way better word. Functionally, it doesn't make a difference.
It's not relevant.
Yeah. It's irrelevantly correct. That's getting worse. We're jumping off the deep end quickly. Speaking of jumping in the deep end, Seraph getting his ankles wet in the river, killing off a ward. And a tunnel as well. Poor Shrimp.
Yeah, Shrimp, though, looking at his CS, he hasn't had those types of Rek'Sai games right now that he's hoping for, where he's just farming the enemy jungle. Procxin's been able to actually pick up his quadrants. Everybody's been playing for the side waves because they have to pick up the CS or else they risk getting 20 behind and not having the answer. But I think both teams have actually effectively carried this out. But look at this.
Wild Procxin appears wards and says, wait, it's been turned off. There's no one that I want to be around right now, and immediately turns around.
Cloud Drake.
The movement speed.
Cloud Drake. It was relevant there.
It was. Oh, dude. So before these games started, I was sitting in the player lounge with all of Apex and Energy's coach when he came back from being off stage. And I was defending Cloud Drake because even though no one likes it, it is technically as strong as the others based on win rate data.
Yes.
And every time Energy walked away from a fight with like 12 HP, he'd be like, Cloud Drake, they're getting away.
Cloud Drake.
There's one where Popoto like almost cuts him off with a crystallized wall, and GBM barely doesn't get hit by it. Like, that was entirely Cloud Drake. You're welcome.
Production's telling me stop trying to make Cloud Drake happen.
It's not going to happen. Hey, Cloud Drake's a thing.
It's going to happen.
Cloud Drake is a thing. I'm glad we have like, a couple of chuckles from the audience, too. You're so close to me, I can hear you when you laugh, so keep that up. And I'm hearing it again. This is wonderful. But honestly, a very slow-played game. And again, these are two of the slowest teams in the North American LCS. They have the longest average game time, number 1 and 2 of these two teams in North America. And well, we're starting to see Envy make some things happen. A nice push in the mid lane. Ninja had been slowly wearing that down and finally pushed through onto Keane. The early rite of age of the push into the Zonias, and mid lane going down. Nice stuff by them. Otherwise, we've just seen sort of lane swaps and turret trades and minion wave manipulation, which is definitely interesting in its own right, but mostly PvE action and strategic choices and not as much the mechanics involved.
Yeah, you're starting to see items actually come through here, item thresholds and power spikes, where Seraph now has his Trinity Force completed. The Rod of Ages is stacking up already for Ninja. It's the point that Swain really needs to get to, and then he's incredibly powerful. It's really hard to kill him with the new Catalyst passive.
Right. And he's got 2 stacking items, too. His Seeker's Arm Guard's getting more armor and ability power. Not that it's insane, but it does matter sometimes. First bit's a crit coming through as well. We've now got Lod with his Zeal on top of the Essence Reaver, so 40% crit on Sivir. That feels good. Trip to take down some more of this and hopefully play for the next Drake. It will be second Cloud And for actually a game playing this slow, like, Infernal's almost the worst because you're not doing anything with it anyway. But playing the rotation game and just getting the regen, the infinite mana is like arguably the right choices.
Okay. So we're saying Cloud Drake is good and Infernal is not.
I'm saying in this context, right? If you're already on the impression that these things are balanced, which I will believe unless the data lied to me, but I choose to believe that this was interpreted properly, that you're now in a world where, like, depending on how the game is played, one is better than the other. Yeah. The way this game is played lends itself to Cloud Drake.
Okay.
I think that's defensible.
I will believe you.
Thank you.
Just because I'm trained not to disagree.
Because I've been right so much? It's like a Pavlovian response?
No, because it makes the conversation last 5 minutes. Anyway, Shrimp going for Titanic Hydra's second item. So he's going for the Rek'Sai build that I'm a big fan of. A lot of damage, get the auto attack reset, so you actually auto Q Titanic Hydra, which will apply another Q, and get the last one off. So the snap cast of those, you can get 4 auto attacks very quickly
and they're basically all AoE. Yeah, you carry and the support next to them.
Technically, when you have Titanic Hydra, all auto attacks are AoE.
I know. That's why I said it. And the Q is also AoE, so it's like double the area, double the effect. Double the fun. Here comes Seraph and Ray fighting up in the top lane. Dodge comes in, then Tauntsman runs for dear life. Though Ray is up a level, he does not want to battle Seraph.
Yeah, and Seraph actually realizes, well, I don't know if that's the best place for him to be in because the Rift Herald helps a lot. It's not just extra damage, it's that 5% damage reduction on top of it. So you do have to be wary of that, as well as the Spirit's Refuge, who's going to stop all those auto attacks from the Irelia.
Absolutely the case. So, yeah, Seraph has to really time his W activation to when the dodge zone comes down. Otherwise, he's lost his main active ability.
I think this is
looks like you were lied to. This is second Ocean Drake, actually. But either way, it's Xpecial getting caught up in the front lines, puts his shield up, stays alive, jumps back to safety. He'll be okay, but Keane, low on mana, thankfully, though, does have a blue buff, so that'll come back up to full before too terribly long. Once again, battle on the top side. This time, Seraph did save the W, jumps in, just gets taunted out. And Ray runs fast enough to time out the W and then turns back around with his Q, slowing down Seraph, getting a lot of damage to the auto attacks. You're still seeing him trade back and forth, and Seraph has better sustain.
Yeah, I actually think this gets very close. As long as Seraph goes with the hit and then run over and over again, he has the flask, he's able to get some HP back, and it's really on Ray at that point to run away, and he's doing the right thing, even though it looks like he has more stats and could win. And the overlay was lying to us. Even the overlay is biased towards Cloud Drake. But yes, Ocean Drake coming through here. But there's going to be a fight over this, and I definitely think that if you are Envy, you want to take this fight.
There's no chance of a steal. Nice pickup right there. 3 Drakes in a row for Envy, and they just get the easy walk away. Sivir ulti, empowered Karma Shield. There's just really no chance for APX to get onto these guys. And now they push in right towards the mid lane because Envy had to run to the right side. Apex takes up the mid lane, but problem is, there's a Cloud Drake. They get there in time and defend it. And now have full health and mana because of Ocean.
Ocean Drake helping out a decent amount. And I love that it's on champion and turret damage because you can just sit in the jungle and regen. You can sit in the lane and farm. But it does make it actually quite terrible for the other team when you have 2 of them, because that's when it really starts to kick in. And there's Infernal coming in, your least favorite dragon in this game.
Uh-oh. Actually, yeah, to be fair, because Mountain would easily be the best. At this, 26 minutes in, Mountain would definitely have been superior. But you know what? We're in a world where that's not going to exist.
Okay.
So, Laud, Essence Reaver, and Double Ocean Drake. What's more infinite than infinite? Do we even know? But he's got a lot of mana. Seraph, once again, in a battle with Ray, lands the stun and does go for the W active to get some damage. Has to kite out the dodge zone. Gets smacked by the Rift Herald buff.
It's a lot of minions.
And yeah, a lot of minions. So, Ray's doing okay for himself and can regen up.
Minions actually hurt a lot, so fighting in a wave that big, bit of a mistake.
He'd definitely be very painful. Seraph running with pretty low magic resist, only 57%, and well, Shen does mostly magic damage, so that can start to hurt if he gets a lot of attacks. Misses the taunt, and Seraph just dodges away with his Q. Is maxing that last 5 points W, 3 points E. These Blade Search for last.
Yeah, and he also went for the boots that don't help him against Shen, the Ninja Tabi.
Yeah.
You'd think they would, but they don't.
But they're built for ninjas, not against ninjas. But if your own clothing betrayed you, how would you feel about that?
But you think it would beat a ninja.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't Tabi mean like anti?
Really?
No, it doesn't. I'm just making that up.
Yeah, I know. Has our banter gotten worse or better since we stopped doing challenge together? I can't tell. But we are still in a kill-less game. Envy have been slaying dragons, though, at the very least.
Yes, but let's talk about where this game is heading over time here. Because if you look at scaling and you look at everything that these teams have to bring to the table, APX actually has a lot of scaling here. The Viktor, incredibly potent. As soon as he's able to get a Ryze Crystal Scepter, you cannot run from that ultimate as easily. You have to have Swifty Boots, or you have to have a good angle on it, and Viktor has to be far away from it, or you have to blow a Summoner. But it's a lot of damage, keeps people locked down, and Viktors go for that upgrade all the way in the Hex core very early on, so they have the upgraded ultimate, because it's just so good. It was the first item completed for him.
To play devil's advocate, though, I'm wondering if Apex have the ability to get rid of Ninja, because Seraph will probably make Apollo go for him, not for the Swain. And so Swain's just like only taking damage from a Viktor, lifesteal tanking it, and just wrecking the entire front line. Ricochet comes across. Like, I'm not sure a 5v5 can go Apex's way easily.
Well, Ninja's also going to have a lot of movement speed from the Sivir and also from the Karma. But look at this, Ray trying to turn around on Seraph because he knows he's getting flanked now by Ninja. Ninja uses the Ghost to get in faster.
And he's going to be right away. Ray flash, but there's first blood. Keane takes him out with the Chaos Storm. And a follow-up taunt on towards this poor Swain, who's just being destroyed right now. Pops his Zonius, heals up a little bit, but still does not have a lot of places to go. The root almost takes out Ray, and it does. It's actually finally a trade kill for Envy, but 2-1 Apex is a great start to this.
Yeah, and they actually don't get much more off any other side of the map here because both Hakuho and Lod, they were back. They had to actually walk back down the mid lane, so it's not like they're pushing a side turret or anything and this is a stall or anything like that. It was Seraph and Ray having a brawl and then being basically put on his back foot there. You can see Ray is 2 levels up over Seraph. How does this guy do this every time? Every time we see Ray, it's like, oh, you know, he's kind of losing these matchups. Rift Herald is so good. Every game that Apex has won, they have given Ray Rift Herald, and he uses it so well.
100% correlation with getting Rift Herald and winning a game, losing Rift Herald, losing a game, and Apex maybe continuing that trend right here, despite the fact that they were losing map control the entire time. In fact, the gold's still only equal because Envy had gotten more turrets. And they can maybe still use Ray to win this game for them. Starts taking some poke, walking away. Watch this fight again.
Yeah, and you can see he's actually being chased down. Shrimp uses his ultimate to get to a tunnel so that he can arrive in time as well. Ninja pops the Ghost to get there a little bit sooner. Seraph runs up, didn't know that Keane was chasing and following, and Shrimp comes over the wall.
Well, it's no magic resist Irelia. Like, he's building to survive Apollo when everyone else is the one's doing damage to him right now. And
that's always a little strange when you hang around just really greedy. When your team's going to get the kill and you still want to hang around. Huni did it in the last series as Irelia. And right there, didn't have to be there, Ray. I am pretty sure that the Viktor and the Rek'Sai have that 400 HP swing.
I tend to agree with you. So a slight misplay there. The death didn't have to happen. The assist, the kill didn't have to go over, but at least it was still advantage toward Apex for this whole play. Titanic Hydra done, and Shrimp going for another health item, which could just be Black Cleaver. Could be Seraph. We'll see soon enough.
It's probably Black Cleaver knowing this guy.
Rooted up, a little bit of damage. Not too much actually coming out of Hakuho. Just want to see which way he's going with this Karma. Is actually maxing Q. So more often than not, we see Karma's max her shield.
Yeah.
But both Hakuho and it was one of the EU LCS supports also maxed Q. No, it was Kiwi Kid, I think. Max Q and they were playing Karma, which is just atypical, and I tend to prefer the shield max build myself, but is going for the more damage-oriented option.
Yeah, when you're up against a melee support, you will typically max Q, and when you're up against range supports, you want to max your shield.
What I see more often than not is like they'll do 2 points Q or maybe even 3 and then switch out, but it's like 4. Like he had to be level 7 and they're like, yep, not landing against Braum, still want to do Q damage. And to me, I just don't see what Karma's going to do with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Sometimes it's force of habit too.
It very often is. I mean, I talked about not upgrading a red trinket. That's me forgetting to switch my red trinket at a level 9.
Anyway, Infernal. This one's going to be fought over because although it's the worst one, these teams really want this Drake. But look at that. I like this. Apollo sections off this area. Swain is behind them, so they can't actually walk up to the mid lane just yet. And top lane, Seraph is being pushed in by Ray. Ray 100% safe in this matchup. The Rift Herald doing work for him. And the fact that he's actually gotten to the point where his percent HP is just shredding the no resistance Seraph in the top lane, then it's going to be really good. And he's also going for Yomu's set.
Oh, yeah, so a very offensive build for him, and not relying a lot on defense, but just really wants to kill Ray 1v1. I'm surprised it wasn't Ruin King for that option, though. I feel like life feels pretty useful, but they're going to go here for the Infernal, the fourth Dragon of the game, and Envy want this one as fast as they can, and they get it! Dragon 4 goes to them. They will respawn yet another one, and it looked like it was orange, so second Inferno will be the final one, but...
Unlucky. No good.
Yeah, unlucky. If only it was Cloud.
Exactly. Anyway, it would have gotten them here faster so they could clear the wave, and this turret
And they did.
wouldn't have taken as much damage.
At least they got there.
Anyway,
Red is alive.
looking at that top lane, still, Seraph is being pushed around, and now he's joining so that he can try and get a kill here.
Shrimp running away. The haste is on, but no one's really finding a kill to have Spiderlings dodging away from the death ray. That was close. But they live. They skitter away, and they're going to be okay. That Envy and Apex, you know, again, I have to appreciate how Envy are playing this game. They, again, play a fairly slow style. They're very much about the control of this one, but they're beating Apex at Apex's game. They have the arguably superior 1v1 champion. Haven't seen it yet, but I assume it'll eventually get that way. And they've been taking every single dragon. They're still up in turrets. Envy are playing better overall, so Apex has to find some way to break this back open to them.
I think it's mostly through Ray, right? I think that Ray is, you know, he hasn't used an ultimate this game because there hasn't been any fighting on the opposite side of the map, because it's kind of hard to engage for this Apex squad. Xpecial is really the one in charge of that. Shrimp can maybe engage, but it's really hard to stick to these members, especially with all the speed that you have from the bottom lane of NV.
And look like Shrimp's going to go the rest of the way towards tank right now. It's going to be Randuin's Omen as his third major item, counting Jungle Enchant.
I like that.
So,
that makes sense.
Yeah, no cleaver for him. Just going to be a frontliner here, which means really both he and Ray are only doing small amounts of damage and are mostly built to be tanks, which puts the damage just on Apollo and Keane. And though we do have Executioners calling on the Caitlyn, you have only 2 real damage threats trying to break down a Swain, and that is hard. And none of you have backline access, so you're not going to get rid of the Sivir. And Laud, this can be a game that Laud carries team fights in.
Very much so, especially since he'll have all of this extra speed. Ninja, he'll have the opportunity to as well if he's able to get into the center of it and kind of be the bait for Laud, because Laud is 2 levels up on Apollo. If he's able to stand in the back line and just ricochet across everybody, that's going to be good. And Seraph, I'm understanding his build a little bit more. He's about, when the team fight comes out, he's going to go after a squishy. He's going to go after either Keane or Apollo and try to blow them up with the Youmuu's Ghostblade active and try to get in there and make sure. Because if he's actually building against Shen, then he's already losing the matchup, right?
Right, he's still going to TP out with his ulti and just sort of out-rotate you.
Yeah, he's not going to have the same pressure in a team fight. Whereas here, maybe he'll get deleted, or he'll delete somebody else. But we'll see what happens when it eventually happens. I promise, one will happen.
There will be an eventual team fight. I mean, Baron's spawning soon enough, and actually it's on the map already, so yes. Hakuho shielding the Braum Q. Winter's Bite cannot deal enough damage. Once again, a taunt in for Shen, but Seraph so low on health. Trying to run now for dear life will do so. Pops the Youmuu's to get a little bit more movement speed. And he will stay alive on this one.
As everybody just kind of sits there, and I like to call this the Dragon Ball type of game. Not just because everybody's taking dragons, but because everybody's just powering up over and over again. It's like, oh, I hit my item spike. It's like, you haven't stat checked that guy in 20 minutes.
Right. I mean, it's really just like an episode of Dragon Ball Z. Nothing happens for 25 minutes, and then you have one fight. And then you wait for the next one.
Tune in for game 2.
In an hour. And here we go. We're binging on this one. Shrimp taking a little bit of damage. Shrey has joined.
Here's the slow.
Looking for a bit of damage on a Procxin. Seraph TP's onto a trap. Very low on health now himself. And here comes the team fight. Taunt comes across 3. Shrimp low. Seraph running, but still dangerously close to dead. And Apex trying to make this fight happen. They're still running towards the front line. Ray healthy enough, but
Ninja
finally comes through. Ninja on the Swain makes that one happen. Now Ray's going to go down as well. They kite it out properly. A kill comes back in for Apollo, but it's still 2-4 on the advantage. Has to flash away. Keane rooted up, but he should be going down. Make that 3 for Envy.
And Ninja, the hero of that fight. Laud, everybody was focused on him and tunneling up. Ninja got to stand right on the side and deal a lot of damage as Swain. And now they're going to try to pick up this Baron. We hit that 30-minute mark. Episode 2 is already coming through.
Here we go. Yeah, stay tuned. Cliffhanger coming up because Shrimp wants to steal the Baron away. 2,000 health left on that, but it's going to be rooted up. Jumps forward and actually kills off Procxin. And he's just doing the damage to Ninja. Can't do enough to kill him, but maybe Caitlyn can. It's so close, but not quite enough for Apollo. I think he didn't crit on that attack, just the headshot.
Man,
50-50 for Ninja to die.
they always do that to you too. They bait you. They make you think something big is gonna happen, and then they just go even at the end. And we're back where we were.
Plot armor. He's never gonna die.
Right here, Ninja gets caught out, flashes, and then this is really good by Apollo, but it's a split focus here. He puts down 2 traps so they can't actually walk towards him. Flashes over the wall, Qs to over the side there.
Yeah.
And then ultimately comes through. But look at Ninja. Nobody's focusing Ninja. Ninja is right near that back line, dealing so much damage. He kills him with the bird that's sitting in the bush, and then he just gets to stand next to Ray. Laud got to kite up, and there were so many Winter's Bites in that fight that stayed on 3 stacks for so long. Seraph's was on 3 stacks for a very long time. Laud's was on 3 stacks when he got away. If those had actually been set off, there would have been more kills there for Apex if they had been set off earlier.
Yeah, if Seraph had died in the first half of that fight, that's a team fight win automatically. Seraph was a really big deal for them winning that battle at all. So some close calls here. And Envy, they did not get the Baron. The turrets were overall traded back to equal long form in this game. The gold lead basically the same. It's just the fact they've got these Drake buffs.
Speaking of Drake buffs.
Yeah. This new mixtape's hot fire, I'm sure. Infernal coming up next.
I heard it's Infernal, yeah.
That was actually on accident, but I'm so glad it happened. And now another attempt. Oh, they rooted up Strip. That is bad for him. His shell's coming off right now, taking a bunch of damage. Nearly takes down Procxin. It's a trade of junglers, maybe. Procxin goes away. Seraph in the back line deletes Apollo. He's crashed down, and Seraph's still alive. Now we see the bottom half of the fight as Xpecial tries to chase down a Seraph. We'll watch the other half later. Seraph stuns, walks away. Ray has no energy. They will not catch Seraph. He is fine. The rest of Apex feels like they've been able to kite away and stay alive, but it's still a 2-for-0 favor of Envy. 5 straight Drakes for them.
And that's the problem with this Rek'Sai build. It's fantastic, it's fun to play, it does a lot of damage, but your magic resist is delayed a lot of gold. We're talking like you spend thousands, 10,000 gold, and you don't have any MR aside from your boots. So you are very susceptible to the damage that this Swain is dealing, and you're going to get deleted. And you have very minimal armor, too. You don't have a lot of things that multiply your effective HP. And look at this, Envy right onto the Baron. Right before Shrimp is coming up, too. Ray has to defend this.
Okay, well, Shrimp's going to try to join this one, but it's not going to be in time. Baron secured. Envy playing this map so well for themselves here. Knocking that one down 34 minutes in. Well ahead with Baron.
And this build finally coming through for Seraph. Doesn't build for the lane against the Shen. Builds to kill Apollo. Look at this Ghost Blade into the back line. He gets netted, and he still just jumps in and is able to delete him. 3 stacks on the Winter's Bite again.
Yep.
So close. Or concussive blows. It's not to be confused with Winter's Bite.
Which does apply concussive blows. So you're not, I mean, you're technically wrong, but you're functionally accurate. We're going to go with that one to continue the train here. Yeah, really unfortunate. Apollo also kind of failed to put just a web of traps under his own feet, so that when Irelia did come in, she was instantly rooted. So, you know, you can paint mistakes on a lot of different places, but ultimately, yeah, the Seraph assassination worked out. He got away, and, well, I take it all back. That was well done. He was able to kill the back line. Now Ray running around, low on health. Guardian Angel is on, but he might just lose the cooldown and still lose his life. Trying to get over the wall, won't do so just yet. Teamfight starts instead. They caught up Laud, but Laud gets the shield, stays alive. Best shot by Hakuho, and now it's Xpecial stuck in the front. Pops guilty onto 2, but Seraph just does not take damage. Procxin repels up to stay alive, and there's 2 kills picked up already, and Ninja still in it. A double kill now for Laud. Another one coming through, thanks to Irelia doing enough damage. Seraph makes it 4. Another great team fight for Envy. I don't even know why APX chose to fight. They were against a Baron buff.
Yeah, and Envy, they have so many ways to start these fights with the pick potential that they have, with the Sivir ultimate, with the ultimate and the speed up from the Karma, that they get to pick these fights. There are 20 seconds plus on the first member to come up here. This might be the game.
This just might be the game already. Envy, we wondered how much they'd really been tested against 0-2 teams in the LCS. Will they take on a 2-0 team? They're going to knock down Apex in game 1, and Envy are certainly here to stay.
Envy looking good in that game. We talked about Seraph developing into a great macro shot caller, was able to equalize the early game, built for the team fight, didn't build for the split push at all. And that's what ended up making a lot of that mid-game team fight work out for him, because he became another threat.